Good morning. This is Professor Fleming here with a brief overview of the final assignment for the Principles for Sustainable Design course. It's been great having you, and I'm going to take you through this very briefly. The first thing you should know is it's due next Sunday night Eastern Time at midnight roughly, and what we're going to try to do here is have you do a more in-depth study of a project or a design or a technology through the perspectives of integral theory or integral sustainable design. And so part one would be building pretty much something very similar to what you saw last week or 2 weeks ago when we looked at the Taliesin project and you gave that a ranking. We're also then going to have you take part in the comparative study that we're doing at the university to study the relative benefits of different kinds of built projects and how they interrelate. You'll see, for example, that there are going to be 4 quadrants to type in and put information in, and you'll have a maximum of 500 words. If you're having internet problems or don't have a great connection, you can always email your assignment to beyondgreen@philu.edu, and it does not have to be in Word. Although I'm using Word, it does not have to be in Word. So some of the objectives: identify environmental, economic, cultural, and experiential aspects of a built project. That seems familiar to you. Classify and describe different aspects. So here you begin to separate and understand those different aspects of reality. Then you're going to evaluate the project like you did before for the Taliesin project. And then you're going to identify a prevailing worldview in place when the project was completed. That should say was completed. And so for example, Taliesin West may have been built in the early 20th century, but it probably reflected an integral worldview. So buildings can be ahead of their time or behind their time. So for part one, what's going to happen is you're going to click on this guy right here, and hopefully it's going to open up a Word file. And that Word file then would be the place that you would actually do the assignment. So as the Word file opens, I'll just mention that I'm going to go through part two briefly. And so here's the Word file right here, and going to enable editing. And it's pretty simple, really. What you have to do is you have to use this template that I've given you to input information or opinions or data into the different perspectives. So this first one has to do with the behaviors perspective, where we expect to see all the facts of the project. We might, and you can use charts, graphs, words, numbers, it's up to you. And then we would look at systems perspective, and here diagrams are the most useful. You're free to take things from the internet, and the only requirement is to source where you got them from, whether they be images or important pieces of information. And then we have our cultures perspective, and here you would have insert worldview designation here, so that would go on this template. And then you would start to talk about the cultural and social equity aspects of the project. And then finally, the experience. Here you might want to use some pictures. Now, I recommend you try to pick a building or a place that you've been to before so that you can actually understand the experience, but that may not be possible for everyone. And then finally, there's a rubric for the grading. Now, I'm new to the MOOC and to this kind of teaching in general, and so I'm working out the details on the certificate for this course, a certificate of completion. Obviously, if you want me to do a full-blown grading in detail, you're going to want to get one of the certificates, and I'll have more on that over the next couple days. Now, going back to the assignment for part two. So once you've made your Word file, you can come down here and you can upload the file, and that will then go to me where I can see it, which is very exciting. Part two is essentially we're going to do the scoring that we did before for the Taliesin project, and you're going to score your project this time. And the place that you're going to put that information is right into this Google spreadsheet. Now, please don't be intimidated when you see this. What we have here is something we've been using for a long time to look at different projects. So this was from this semester. These are the on-campus students. These are the buildings/projects that they analyzed. And you can, of course, pick any project you want. You don't have to find something that's different here. And what's going to happen here, you see multiple scores because I had the students score each other's projects. We won't have time for that this semester. And you can see that for years we've been doing this project and getting some overall tallies. I have yet to really tally everything up, but it's just gathering information this one was all tallied perfectly. So you can see here, these are students from back in 2013. And you can see that we've been doing this for quite a few years, and we have quite a database of projects developing. So pretty exciting for you though. What you're going to do is you're going to put your name in here. You're going to put your name of the project. I'm going to say Falling Water. So that would be FLW for Frank Lloyd Wright. And rather than fill in all of these boxes, all you're going to do is give a total score or an evaluation for each of the quadrants. So I'm going to give that an 8 for this. If you want more details on the quadrants and what they mean, you can do a rollover on these little corner squares. I'm going to give it a 10 for I'm going to give it a 10 for systems, and notice that the averaging is happening over here. So your project score will show up here. And again, the goal here is not to win, but to be accurate, so we can begin to crowdsource and get different scores over a long period of time for these projects to get a sense of where we're going. Now that got a 6.75, but I wasn't really paying attention. I'm sure it'll be much higher. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to go in here, you're going to put all this information in, and then I will have a record of you having done part 2 of the assignment, which I'm very excited about. If, for example, you get all the way down here and we need to add, you can always insert more rows if you have to. Whoops, row below, right? And now the other thing you should keep in mind, this is a live document that can be destroyed or damaged by your activities. I do save a backup, but I prefer that you tread somewhat carefully on what you're doing here. So that's part 2 of the assignment. And let's see, what else do you need to know? You need to know nothing. I think that's going to be it. I will be happy to take questions through the discussion board or through email at beyondgreen@philyu.edu. And again, so just ask questions and we'll get this project done and the course will be finished. I am planning to run a second course on the practices for sustainable design. I just haven't scheduled it yet. Most likely it will be in the summer, so I'm hoping that you'll come back and complete what is really essentially our on-campus course that we run at PhillyU. Also, if you have any interest in the master's program itself, just send me a note to beyondgreen@philyu.edu and we can set up a time to chat. Okay, I'm going to end it there, and I hope you enjoy this